If you look at my recent uploads, at least as of the making of this particular video, you'll find a lot of camcorder videos. I mean, they're everywhere. The majority of my camcorder collection was obtained from 2016 through to 2018, and consists primarily of VHS-C cameras. This is actually a Camcorder PV-L606, one of my more recent finds. For the last roughly 2 years, I have been using, on a primary basis, tape-based camcorders, and for the most part, VHS-C cameras such as this, to record all my videos. One of the most popular questions that I have on this channel is, dude, it's 2019, or insert year here. Why the hell are you still using standard definition VHS-C camcorders? Well, that question will remain unanswered. But the second most popular question I get on this channel is, why do you have so many VHS-C camcorders? I mean, just have a look up there. Most of those are VHS-C. I got a lot of these things. Why? Well, the answer to that question is very simple. Around here at thrift stores, if they've got a camcorder, it is guaranteed to be one of these. If you're really lucky, you may find one of these, a Video 8 camcorder, and it may even happen to work. If you get even luckier than that, you'll find a High 8 camcorder, such as the one that was contained in this box. But to find a MiniDV camcorder at the thrift store, you practically had to win the lottery for that to happen. And a digital camera, forget about it. That is not happening at all. I've been going to thrift stores on and off since I was about 14 years old. In the last, I'd say it's been maybe 3-4 years, I started going more actively. But even in all that time, I saw exactly 3 MiniDV camcorders. All 3 of them that I had purchased. The PV-GS13, the GR-DVL300, and this, which is a PV-GS150. Times seem to have changed a little bit, because in the last couple of weeks, I've picked up 3. Now, you've seen 2 on videos, the PV-DV150D, and the Sony Handycam DCR TRV22. There was a third one, and that's this one right here, the Samsung SC-D23, which unfortunately I ended up taking back because it did not function. If you'd like to see a video of the SC-D23 V Westlife, a number of years ago actually uploaded a video of the same thing. Well, as you can tell from the title of the video, I found another one. And you know what's amusing? This bag is not much bigger than this camcorder. That's, like, hilarious. This price tag might give you a heart attack when you consider that it's a standard definition camcorder. Pay no mind to it. I did not pay anywhere close to that. That said, what do you get for a theoretical $30? You get this shoulder strap, which I think is actually for the bag, not the camcorder. You get an AV cable. That's all that's in there. In this pouch is a whole lot of nothing. And in this pouch here, again, a whole lot of nothing. And if we look in here, the main pouch, you have the camcorder itself with a battery. And nothing else. See, I really don't get a whole lot for that. And if I had to pay that, I think I probably would have walked away. Here's the camcorder itself. It is a JVC GR-D74 MiniDV camcorder. Now, if you take this camera and compare it side by side to this one, which is another JVC camera, this is the GR-DVL300, the second MiniDV camcorder I purchased, you'll find that there really are not a whole lot of similarities between the two. Like, at all. Oh sure, there are a few of them, but they really aren't all that alike. In fact, if you look at the GR-D74, you'll find it looks an awful lot like a Sony Handycam. Here's my TRV-22. definitely looks a lot like a Handycam. Maybe not so much this particular model, but certainly the DCR-HC96 is a very close parallel to this one. I mean, like, look at this. Look at how similar those are. Very similar. So what do you get? Well, you get a smaller lens than you do with this one. The lens opening is actually bigger. As far as a field of view, this thing is fairly narrow at 43.2 millimeters, at least compared to the 35 millimeter standard that these things are measured against. But you do get a LED video light. There's two LEDs there, as opposed to the halogen spotlight you get on this one. Still have a stereo microphone, but it's up here, and again, very similar position as the Sony Handycam. 16 times optical zoom. Of course, it says 700 times digital zoom. You won't be using that because it's crap. Look here, auto LED illumination light, clear LCD monitor, 3D noise reduction, whatever that means. SD card, although this one didn't come with it. Thrift stores have been removing cards. But it came with a tape, which we'll discuss later. There's the video light switch right there. It's a button, as opposed to this one, which has a switch somewhere on the camera. I think it's actually behind the door. If you have a quick look-see here with the LCDs open, I think the LCD panels are the same size, roughly. But this one's a matte finish, and obviously the bezel is quite a bit bigger than you get on this one. This one's a glossy finish. It actually looks almost like a touch screen. But I'm really glad it's not a touchscreen, because the menu system on this thing, which is pretty similar to this one, is not at all designed for a touchscreen. You get this button up here for opening it and controlling it. You get your usual buttons in there for playback controls and whatnot. Again, pretty similar to a Sony Handycam. This one isn't a good example over here, because this one actually does have a touchscreen. But if you have a Sony Handycam with buttons, they're usually arranged something similar to this. We get a switch here to switch between tape and memory card. There's our I/O. We get a DC jack there, which is kind of unfortunate because I didn't get the power supply. It takes a proprietary one. AV output, FireWire, and USB. There's a speaker, which again is pretty similar to that. Interestingly, it does not look like you get a remote control jack, which is what this is up here, or a connection for the little serial port for digital photo. Like I mentioned previously, here is the video light switch on the camera. This one has the switch as a button right there. Other controls, not really much of interest. I mean, you get your zoom control, snapshot button, aforementioned menu switch. You get a blank search, which is very useful. Record button back here, and your mode switch. We'll go ahead and we'll turn the camera on. You have a quick look at it. I don't usually do this in my camera videos, but here you go. Oh, you can't actually bring up the menu in automatic mode. You have to switch over to manual mode. And you can bring the menu, and you can see this is not at all conducive to being on a touch screen. Another very Sony thing that JVC decided to do with this camera is have a tape basket that opens from the bottom. Now hold on a minute. That camera was just running. You didn't get the power supply. So how did you charge up this battery? Well, at first I was a little concerned because I don't recall having a camcorder. I didn't recall having a camcorder with a battery terminal arrangement such as this. I thought, oh great, I'm going to have to hotwire this camera in order to work, and that's not going to be fun, and whatever. When I got it home, I had a quick look at this other JVC camera over here, my other MiniDV JVC, the DVL300, and I had a look at its battery. Can't really tell a difference, can you? Indeed, these are the same model battery. The model number BN-V408U. You might not be able to read this one, but Trust me, it is the same battery. But the contact pattern's different. Or is it? Well, I thought it was. I was kind of concerned a little bit. Because when you remember, when I got that PV-DV150D, the battery from this PVGS150, even though it was the same terminals, same voltage, same pretty much everything, they changed the battery housing such that the batteries were incompatible. By the way, thanks again for that, Panasonic. Anyway, you guessed it. Works just fine. I'll just have a quick look at this camcorder. You'll probably be wondering exactly the same thing that I was when I saw it. Why did somebody donate this? It is in impeccable condition. In fact, the only real blemish is that down there. Other than that, this thing is, like, pristine. Well, like I mentioned, it came with a tape. This tape had about 10 minutes of footage on it. From that, I was able to surmise that the previous owners were, teenagers, or actually probably more like college students, but in my experience with college-age students, there's not a whole lot of aging that takes place between your teenage years and when you get to college. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion for another day. That said, I think the reason why this camcorder was donated is so that the parents of whoever owned this camera didn't have to see all the gay porn that I found recorded to the tape. Now, I mean, it wasn't serious or anything like that, but it was a little suggestive. Just a little suggestive, So, yeah. I mean, it wasn't all like that. There were, I think I mentioned there were 10 minutes of video roughly on the tape. 2 minutes of that wasn't suggestive in any way. But, yeah, I don't know. I really don't think I've got much else to really say about that. So, there you go. There is your camera that was apparently used for naughty things. So, I think at this point, all that I can think of to do now is to stop this recording and switch over to this camera and just show you what it looks and sounds like. One thing that I thought I'd note before I do that is something rather ominous that I don't usually like to see on these cameras. It's the case with this one as well. But the microphone is right up against the tape basket. And in playback, I noted this thing had a very loud tape motor, so I don't know, that is probably going to pick up a lot of tape motor noise. But I guess we're going to find out. Alright, it looks like it's recording now. Don't hear any clicking sounds. So I think the camera is actually doing a pretty decent job. This is the JVC GR-D74 recording to tape. It's got a very loud tape motor, so I'm imagining that the microphone is picking up quite a fair bit of that. Here's the camera I was using previously. At least theoretically this thing is in widescreen mode. It gives you two options, cinema and squeeze. I have it in squeeze mode. Definitely looks like we have a narrow field of view, so I was probably correct in saying that this is a narrow, or basically saying that larger than 35mm means narrow. But I'll verify that and make sure that I'm correct. Let me just go ahead and have a look here. I think the digital zoom is turned off, but I don't know. I guess I'm going to find out. It's not going any further than 16 times. The image stabilization seems to be kind of funky on this thing. You can see it kind of going all over the place. That's not me moving the camera, that's the image stabilizer. So you saw the white fader. We do have quite a few fades here. Go to the black fader. There's a black and white fade. They're pretty similar fades to the DVL300. Here's a corner fade. This is a window fade. You have a slide fade. This is a door fade. Here's a scroll fade. And last but not least, a window fade. Or actually, I don't think, is that what they call it? No, it's a shutter fade. My apologies. This thing complains about the memory card every time you turn it on. Well, every time you start a recording, which is kind of interesting. So I guess there is one thing. Let's go ahead and have our camera test over here. Yeah, definitely a very narrow field of view on this one. I wonder if I have an appropriate lens adapter to put a wide-angle lens on this thing. Probably not. By the way, I did manage to record over all the footage that was on this tape previously. And then some. Not necessarily a bad thing. For the reasons I mentioned previously. I'm using the tape, the battery that came with the camera, which is actually a smaller battery. Believe it or not, I think it's working better than the larger battery that I have. Which suggests to me that the larger battery is probably on its way out. Here's a low light test. All I have on are the LEDs. We'll make it even lower light. Turn it off completely. Now the only light's coming from the various monitors. So let's go ahead and try a couple things here. I believe I could turn on night, which as you can see slows down the shutter speed, similar to color's slow shutter on a Sony camera. It also disables the steady shot, or I guess the image stabilization. Steady shot's a Sony trademark. Then we get the video light, which again also slows down the shutter speed with one mode. If you push it again, you just get the normal video light. It's not a very good video light, but it works. It's not unusable. Move to a quieter setting, you could probably hear the tape motor quite a bit better. I see a bit of a trailing effect. Here's the video light and gain up mode. Disables the image stabilizer. Probably for good reason. Still doesn't work very well though. Focus is slow to respond. Complaining about the focus. the best you can do. Come on. Alright, I think that's a sufficiently long video about the JVC GR-D74 that was apparently used to record some suggestive material. Thank you for watching. If you've got any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Till then. The majority of my camcorder collection was well, the simple answer is if a camcorder's got a thrift store, wow. I didn't even know that was possible. Alright, that's going in the blooper reel. And then the stupid bird interrupts me. Yeah, that's typical. But to find a MiniDV camcorder at the thrift store practically required a... I can't even talk. This is terrible. Practically required you to win the lottery. Okay, that's like terrible grammar. Try that again. On the Sony Handycam CCD... CCD? No, I don't think so. Again, pretty similar set of features to pretty much any other camera. That was a dumb statement. Were, you know, teenage years. Teenage years. Wow, that was a stupid thing to say. I'm saying a lot of dumb things on this video. This blooper reel is going to be long as hell.